All right, welcome back here to the Gill Connections Podcast. So blessed to be your host, Mike Cunningham, National Business Development Manager for Gill. And really, I'm just a podcast guy and sometimes known as the Twitter guy. So just pumped to have you here. If this is your first time pressing play, thank you so much for being here. If this is your 100th time, get ready, buckle in. This is going to be a lot of fun because I think, and please give me grace after getting close to 400 episodes. The memory isn't always that great. I know I've had an athlete, Eric Kramer, who I worked with in camps and stuff on the podcast before, but I think this is the first athlete that I've had, first guest on the podcast that was like I had an instrumental part in coaching him in at least for a year. I think we only had a year. We'll find out. But I'm
Yeah.
pumped because it's great to see this young man I knew as an 18, 19-year-old kid, and now he's a full-fledged adult doing adult things, and I'm so proud of him. Help me welcome the head coach of Mississippi State University, the wise, wonderful Mr. Chris Woods. Chris, welcome to the show, brother.
Well, Mike or Coach Cunningham.
Yeah, right. That's a whole different life ago, buddy, man. I
Yeah.
don't even recognize that life,
Yeah,
man.
man. It's good to see you.
Uh,
Thanks for having me,
yeah,
man.
absolutely, man. Did I just have 1 year with you or
So
uh,
I got here in the fall of 2004.
okay, so the '05 season, because that was my last season.
Yeah, yeah.
Our first season with the teammate of ours, Steve Mullins. That's how I kind of remember
Yeah,
the
Steve
recruiting
Mullen
and everything.
came in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
yeah.
sir.
We
Sir.
had, and we're going to get into it, but when you first popped up here on our Zoom to record, like this flood of emotions and memories hit me of just some amazing people. Kendall, Arthur, Jamel, Chris. I mean, literally, as soon as I saw your face, all those people who I just had amazing time and memories with hit me, man. And that was a lot of fun, dude.
Man, it was a blast, man. It's still and I say still, but I think it's gonna be until the day I die, one of my biggest and best memories of being a young man and coming into a foreign place, coming from Atlanta and
Yeah,
meeting all
yeah,
of those guys. And a bunch of those guys shaped me and who
yeah.
I am today. I still keep in close contact with Hop and Chris and Arthur and Tim Williams. I'm still
Oh,
in close
Tim,
contact with
yes.
those
He
guys.
he just
Yeah.
had a cool picture on Facebook with his kid. And I replied back and I just said, man, it's so cool to see you as a dad.
Yeah.
Like that's just
Yeah.
so he was a high
Yeah.
jumper. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're
What
a
are you doing?
dad now? Holy cow, man.
And you
Well,
remember he drove that little green car?
I too. I too.
We called it
Uh
the frog.
Okay, Chris, one of the things when I woke up this morning, I promised myself, because the listeners, I don't know, they might enjoy, was not to make this a Mississippi State,
Reunion.
yeah, '05-ish reunion. Right. Although we will have to make sure I remember this. Uh, I always say it's the race that got me out of coaching, was the Nationals that year, 4x4, and we ran out of our minds. And that's also the year that LSU set the record with Xavier and Willie, so we ran out of our minds and got
Yes.
fourth or fifth. And I was just like, this is not fun. I was like, because I think we went three flat and change. And it was like, we're supposed to,
303. It was 301 low, and we
yeah,
finished fifth.
fifth. Like we're running 301. Now I know, people that are coaching today, you included, are like, yeah,
Yeah.
guess what? That's the way it is, brother. But man, it was just like we just balled out there and you would have thought we weren't in the race. And you guys did amazing. I mean, so I always, because every once in a while that race will pop up on Facebook, and I was like, oh, it's the race that made me retire from coaching. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done with this crap. All right, man. Let's get
All right.
into it. They're here to hear your journey. I'm excited to learn more because I don't think I actually know some of. Well, I don't. I know I don't know the pre-Mississippi State part. So I'm excited to learn that. So, Chris, let's hop in our Wayback Machine and where in the world does track and field even start for you?
Man, I think I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I didn't start running track until my eighth or ninth grade year in
Hmm.
middle school, going into high school. Um, but I came from an athletic background. My mom was an athlete in high school. My aunt was the first African American cheerleader and gymnast at UGA. Um,
Wow.
I had cousins in my family, like, it's always you're always chasing like that older cousin of yours. And so I had one of my cousins, his name was Landy Madison. He got a soccer scholarship to go to Clemson. And I just remember like, man, that's what I want to do. I looked up to my older cousin. He was older than me, about 2, 3 years maybe. So, he was kind of the example along with some other family members. I had another cousin go to Tuskegee, another cousin play soccer. Um, so like just kind of looking up to those guys and like, just kind of wanting to do what they do.
Hmm.
Um, my journey led me to track. I was kind of like every other little kid wanting to do football, baseball, or basketball. And I only ran track because, it was back in those days where the football coach would say, well, during spring, you got to do something. You got to run track or play baseball. You got
Hmm.
to do something. So, me and my buddies, we decided to run track. And, I ended up being okay. I wasn't really that good of an athlete in middle school. I was chasing my older brother around. He's only older than me by a handful of months. He's an adopted brother. And so I was chasing him around, just trying to, be as good as him. And I just I still to this day can't believe how a happen chance flip it comment from a football coach, Coach Reeves, who probably has forgotten about Chris Woods, has led me to here. So I started running like eighth and ninth grade. Started off as a short sprinter,
Yeah, I was gonna
like
ask.
everybody,
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
like everybody does. And did decently in the middle school. When I got to high school is when I got introduced to club track.
Hmm.
And we had a family friend who had his kid running club track, and he was like, "Man, Chris needs to come out here and try this." And I tried it, and I remember being so green and so novice to the sport. We pulled up to the summer track meet, coach. I had on jeans, some tennis shoes, maybe a basketball jersey or something like that. And they're like, "What do you got on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here to run." No spikes, nothing. And they tossed me a uniform, tossed me some shorts. I kept my same tennis shoes on. They threw me in a 400 and I won it. And
Oh.
yeah, I remember I ran 56.3 or something like that. I was in a
Hmm.
slow section.
Hmm.
But I won it. And just I remember like, man, if I could, that was the first time where Chris Woods at 13, 14 years old had won something on his own and
Mm.
was able to have that success on his own. And I think I just fell in love with that aspect.
Hmm.
I've always been a highly competitive person, I believe. And one thing that track provided me, and I recognized at an early age, was, oh man, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And then if I lose, I lose. If I win,
Mhm.
I win. And not realizing it then, but now I think
Mhm.
it was just the objectivity of it I liked. I'm a real kind of black and white, hot and cold kind of person. So I
Yeah.
think I just fell in love with, the objectivity of the sport.
I think that's a really important part of your story, Chris, and one that I not fight against or fight for. So like I'm on a big here, I'm gonna show you, you'll laugh. I keep these in pictures in my photo of my phone. I don't know if you can see that. So you see it's the word just with the like Ghostbuster
Yeah,
no, and
yeah,
then also the word only.
only,
And
yeah,
I started this because we're the NCAA sponsor, so we do the packet pickup and stuff, right? And so we get to hand out the gifts. And I noticed, like, I would always ask, like, "Oh, hey, Chris, so how many athletes you get here?" And they'll say, "Oh, only got one," or "I just got a high jumper." And I started thinking, it's like, wait a minute. First of all, do you know how many people got zero? You know how many would,
yeah,
would trade in a heartbeat for your only one? Uh, and that's dismissing and kind of belittling the athlete and you. You gotta, I mean, these nationals, whether you're a D1, D2, or D3, are just ridiculous to get a kid to. And so your story there about you won, you said, oh, it was a slew heat, and you went 56 point. And we're the world we live in, sure, 56 point isn't going to cut it for a male, but you won, and you had no, what's the word here? So I get this a lot too when someone will say, "Oh, we won the state championship," or "I had a state champion in the 100," but it was the small class, or
Yeah.
oh, it was Idaho. And it's like, well, you don't get to choose where you live or who lines up. Like in that case, that's where I'm going. You didn't get to choose who lined up in that heat, but you got to choose whether you were going to try your damnedest
Yeah.
or not, and you won. So how can someone say, "Oh, it was only the slow"? It's like he didn't have anything to do with that. He
Yeah.
got put in that race. So I think that's important. That winning aspect, regardless of small school, big school, 100, etc. I think that's important.
Yeah, honestly, man, and not to turn it into X's and O's, but that's something that I tell recruits, parents, current kids. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, this is about competition. It's about winning and losing. You can win the Olympic Games with the worst ever winning performance in history. It will not matter. It will not
Right.
matter.
Right.
And so,
Exactly.
yeah, I think that one race at that stage, I was like, oh man, if I can win at this stage, I
Mhm.
can I can continue to win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the ember for me. That was the
I
spark
love
for
that.
me to like I
So
fell in love with it.
what did that ember do? Did you drop all your other sports in high school and only focus on track? How did that
Oh, man.
continue to burn?
Okay, so I've never told this story like publicly. A lot of people in my life privately know this story, but and you probably know it. I got kicked out of my first high school for just being a knucklehead. My grades were terrible, and it was one of those situations where I was able to play football in the fall, had terrible grades, terrible attitude, terrible behavioral problems, and this is as a ninth grader. Um, and so just kind of going through that transition, I think. And so I was not allowed to run track my freshman year.
Hmm.
And that was taken away from me. And then I subsequently had to move away from that high school. And that year, that ninth grade year of not being able to compete, not being able to run. And for me, it wasn't even about running. It was about like, man, I want to go compete, whatever it
Hmm.
is. We could be skipping rocks across a lake. I want to be in that competition.
Right.
And I was withheld from competition. That changed my life completely, because the aspect of competition being taken away from me, um, I was like, I'm never going to have this happen again. So when I ended up moving to Atlanta and getting into a new school, I made a conscious decision at the age of 15, 14, 15 years old to like, I'm going to make a change.
Hmm.
And the only reason why the decision was made to make said change is because I didn't want to be withheld from competition anymore.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm saying. So to me, this sport, I didn't know it at the time, but to me, this sport saved my life because
Hmm.
if I was allowed to run track my freshman year, I would not have had the behavioral
Hmm.
changes that I had
Right.
after not having it. Um, so anyway, so I wasn't allowed to run track my freshman year for those issues. I ended up going to Mays High School,
Hmm.
and this is where I credit my mother for just making just sound decisions
Hmm.
with me at that very delicate time of being 14, 15, 16-year-old young man.
Hmm.
Uh, this is crossroads time for our parents out there that's watching. 14, 15, 16 for a bunch of young men is kind of crossroads time. And my mom, and without having any vision, just I guess using gut instinct, I was moved with my aunt, and I which was tough for my mom, but she knew I would
Hmm.
needed it. And I started attending Benjamin Elijah Mays High School, where I met several men that impact and changed my life in a positive way. That's where I learned the sport. That's where the passion developed for the sport. So it wasn't just a passion about competition. Being with Terry Davis, Eric Bowen, Keith Rucker, all of our coaches over at Quicksilver, like they changed my life, and I became a student of track and field. And it's because of my interactions with my high school coaches and my club coaches. That is what gave me the spark to like, I want to do this sport, not just compete. Like I
Hmm.
want to do this sport. And so, since about since about 11th grade. I won a state championship in the 11th grade individually.
So stay right
Um,
there for me,
go ahead.
Chris, because I think there is a lot of coaches listening right now that have I'm gonna call it a ninth grade Chris Woods. It's like, man, regardless if they have that athlete and they think they're talented or not, because that shouldn't be the bar whether you try to help a young kid or not, and whether you think they have talent or not. But
100%.
right, but they have this. What you mentioned some of the amazing coaches that you had that poured into you. How did that manifest when you said when you coming off that summer going into 10th grade and you're like, I don't ever want that to happen again. Me not to be able to compete, that sucked. Because what I don't believe is that someone who you said you had bad grades, I'm assuming you either didn't go to class, skip class, or didn't study, things like that. I don't believe you can do all that and then wake up on Monday and go, oh, I'm going to go to every class and I'm going to do all this studying because you don't know you haven't studied, so you don't know how to study. And same thing with attitude. I don't think if you have a screw these teachers type attitude that on Monday you wake up and go, you know what, I'm going to embrace my teachers. People have to pour into you. I assume you probably still made mistakes, and as you continue to improve, how did the coaches that are listening are like, how do I get through to my Chris Woods? How did
Yeah.
those men, and I'm sure some other teachers, how did they like pour into you? How did they help you to see, hey, Chris, here's how the real world works. You got to step up here.
That nobody's ever asked me that one, Mike, and that's heavy. Not heavy in a bad way, but
Hmm.
you honestly, I still talk to my high school coaches to this day.
Hmm.
And I think it's just they were there. They were there, whether I was behaving in the
Hmm.
correct manner, whether I was behaving in the incorrect manner, they were there and they were consistent throughout. Again, when you're 14, 15, 16, you don't realize that a person's consistency is what's changing you.
Right.
Now that I'm an adult and I can look back in it and have a little hindsight,
Right.
it was the fact that they were at every practice. They never wavered.
Hmm.
They had a standard. They did not change the standard.
Hmm.
Uh, my high school at that time ran a system. So we did the same workout every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Is that
Thursday,
right? I
Friday.
don't think I knew
Oh,
that.
every Monday we did the same thing. Every Tuesday we did the
Wow,
same thing. Every
dude.
Wednesday. I don't know psychologically if that did anything for the young Chris Woods. I
Sure.
really don't.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, I knew what to expect. I knew what they expected of me
Yeah. Yeah.
and the standard, and they had it for everything. The warm up, how we did the warm up,
Hmm.
workout, how we did the workout. What we did something very specific after the workouts, and it was expected to be
Hmm.
done in a certain way. And if you didn't do it, you couldn't be out there. And they never wavered. They
Hmm.
never wavered from that. And so I left, and I was so blessed to, my high school coaches were also my club coaches. So I
Hmm.
didn't have to deal with a
I was
lot
going to
of,
ask how did, yeah, because assuming,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I was blessed in that way. There was no
yeah.
confusion like you can
Hmm.
kind of see in some instances. So I was just, whenever somebody is successful, it's not on their own. You're
Right.
gonna have to have a lot of help, and then even along the way,
Hmm.
have some good fortune. So I was just really fortunate to have some really, really good people and good coaches in my life.
So I'm not hearing of any like acute, the taking away the freshman year competition's a little bit acute. It obviously went over a couple months, but it was like one day they came to you and said, you're not competing. That's acute. I'm not
Yeah.
hearing an acute from the coaches of like, oh man, one day coach reamed my tail and that was it. I was done with it. I was going to be the straight. I heard consistency.
Yes.
Consistency is built day one, day 100, day 1,000. Commitment to a process, standards,
Yes.
and you didn't say this word, but you were describing this word. Um, a lot of grace, like because again, there's no way you just went from call it 100 mistakes to zero.
Yeah.
You're still a
Yeah.
15-year-old kid here for crying out loud.
Yes.
So they just and never gave up on you. That's kind of what I'm hearing from coaches.
Yes. Yes.
I
They
love that.
they they stuck with me when I was the best. When I was at my worst, they were there.
Yeah,
When I was at my best, they were there.
that's
And
awesome. I love
I
that.
just and again, and they're still there. They are still in my lives, like
Yeah,
still in my life. So
so cool.
I'm telling you, that transformed me. The consistency from the coaches
Yeah,
transformed me.
I think that's the message. If a coach is frustrated with an athlete, it's not going to turn around on Wednesday, though, some random day. It's going to take day 1, day 10, day 100. And you know what, by the way, that 18-year-old kid may graduate from your program if you're a high school coach, still a knucklehead, we'll use that term, and it's their 30 years old, realize like, holy crap, you know what, coach was right.
I
You
should have
know,
listed 20
yeah,
years ago.
wish I could go back. Right. So you mentioned junior year, you won a state title. I'm assuming that was in the 800 because that's how I know you. How did you get to the 800, and how did you become a state champion? First of all, state
Okay.
champion, unbelievable. State champion in Georgia. Come on, that's a great state for track and field.
I appreciate it. So my journey to the eights, just like everybody else's journey to the eight, it's never the destination. You just you just land there, you know. So, started off as a 1-2 guy. And my first club coach, Tony Bennett, again, great mentor of mine. Um, High school coach in Georgia still. I was running with his club one summer. This was my first summer running, and I was a 1-2 guy. So he's like, okay, we're gonna put you in the 4 to train for the 2. I was a better 400-meter runner than I was a 100 runner. So now I'm 2-4. Well, then the next summer, he's like, well, we're gonna throw you in the 8 to train you for the 4. And I won that. And it was like a little all-comers meet at Emory University. They used
Oh,
to have like
nice.
all-comers meets on
Yeah,
Tuesdays and
that's
Thursdays.
right. Yeah.
And Mike, it was so old school. On Tuesdays, they would do like the 1, the 4, and the
Nice.
mile.
Yeah.
Then on Thursdays, they would do like the 2, the
Yep.
8,
We
3K.
used to do the
So,
same thing when I was up in Chicago before I came back south.
yeah,
They did the same thing. I don't know what track club did it, but it was this old. It wasn't cinders, but it wasn't a track, like it was dirt. But same thing on. I don't remember what days, but Tuesdays they did the
yeah,
148,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
the next day they'd flip it. I thought it was so cool, actually. I
No,
like
it's
that.
so cool. And so like back then, it would be cool because you could be a little high school, middle school. It was all ages. And
Mm-hmm.
you show up to an all comers meet. That's what
Yep.
we call them, all
Yep.
comers.
Yep.
And like Angelo Taylor's running a random 1500. And you're like, oh my
Right.
God, that's Angelo Taylor,
Yeah. Right.
And you're 16 and you're just
Yeah.
so anyway.
Yeah. That's
So
so
he
cool.
takes me to one of those meets and he says, well, since it's a Thursday, they don't have the 4. He tricked me. He 100%
Yeah, I
tricked
was about to say he
me.
knew.
He
Right.
knew.
Right.
And I hope to God he sees it. And he knows that I now
Oh,
know.
shucks, no quarter. How could I have messed
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but that means I got the 2, but you ain't putting
Yeah.
me in that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. So he's like, so we're gonna run this 8 to give you some stamina for the 4. I ran the 8. My first time I ever ran it, I ran 2:12. And he's like, oh, that's
Dude,
pretty good.
yeah.
I was 15 at the time.
Did it suck?
It sucked bad.
Yeah.
Uh, but then he was like, okay, well, we'll try it again. Cause like 2:12's first time. Next time I ran it, coach, I ran 159. I haven't ran a
Wow.
competitive 200 since then.
How far? Yeah, exactly. How long of a time frame between the 212 and 159?
The next week.
Wow. What do you
Yeah.
think? You weren't 13 seconds better in shape,
Yeah.
speed, etc. Was it more of like, oh, now I know kind of what to
Nope.
expect? No, just
Nope.
pure
Nope.
run,
It was another dude in the race.
and you didn't want to
So
lose.
competitor, man. So it's just, you know, and that was it. And that was it. I haven't ran another competitive 200 since then.
You were an
I
800
tried
meter guy.
Yeah, I tried to convince a couple of coaches to let me run the
Yeah.
400 hurdles. Some of them did it, some of them did not. So I got a little bit of 400 hurdle experience,
Wow.
but I haven't ran anything shorter than 400 since that.
Dude, that's amazing.
I don't know if it is, man. He took away my Olympic 100-meter dreams, man.
Yeah. We all, most of us have that dream, and you know what? They're dreams for a reason. Yeah, exactly. Now, why did he stop at the 800? And I'm glad he did because, I'm always
Oh,
frustrated when people say, oh, back in the day, I'd be recruiting a quarter mile, and like, oh, he's really a half miler. I'd be recruiting a half miler. He's really a miler. It's like, it's got to
yeah,
stop at some
yeah,
point, you
yeah.
guys.
It has to
We
stop.
can't all keep moving up.
Listen, I would have went kicking and screaming. So my senior year, they tried to convince me to run some 1500s. And again,
Yeah,
I still had the knucklehead gene in me.
sure,
So,
sure.
the knucklehead presented himself whenever 1500 meters was presented.
Sure.
I can look back on a hindsight now and say that I was I was making bad decisions. I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
cried a few times, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
live and you learn.
Okay. It's senior year. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we get to that, what kind of athlete were you? And what I mean by that, it's funny. I always tell people I never ask anybody their PRs because I don't care. You know, how
Yeah.
good or not so good of an athlete you are doesn't mean anything when it comes to how good or not so good of a coach you might be. But what I wonder is because and you're getting in this age, Chris. I'm sure you might be like this, where we start shaking our fist at the sky and we complain about these young people. They don't know who the good. I'll use half milers in your example. Who was the Olympic champ in the half
Yeah.
mile and what it took
Yeah.
there. Were you like? Did you know who like what was a good like 142
Yeah.
143 that's
Yeah.
what it takes for the Olympics, etc. Did you know the names and things like
I
that?
became when I moved to Mays and started going there, I became a straight up and down student of the sport.
Yeah,
So and again that stemmed from my coaches. Like they tasked us with knowing every world record
yeah, wow.
women from the 1500 down.
Dude, yeah,
I'll tell you this, one of
it's
my
probably a
very
little remiss. We're kind of skating over it a little bit, but you mentioned you were in one of my favorite clubs for the name alone, but you were in the Quicksilver Track Club,
yeah.
which because it's not around today. If I
No, Quicksilver's still
It
around,
is still
man.
around.
Still
Uh,
around, yeah.
it was from I haven't thought of tracking that aspect in a long time. Boy, it was some amazing athletes.
Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those clubs where it's like, oh, you knew there was a lot of kids to recruit from. That's how I always remembered Quicksilver.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so it's interesting. You coaches had that. I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Man, I forgot,
Yeah,
Mike.
it's okay. It's all
This
good.
gray hair, I'm getting old.
Yeah, no, no, it's my job to not let you forget, and I forgot. So, okay, so you're a student of sports, like you know what the world record is, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What about because is coaching like from zero, not at all, to 10, like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna become? Is coaching? I don't really hear coaching in your at this age as a high
Oh
schooler.
no, I knew I have a newspaper article from I was 16, 17 years old. They was asking me what like so I guess yeah, '04 Olympics was coming up and
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
is what people are asking a 17-year-old like,
Right,
"Oh,
right.
you're going to make the Olympics?" And like this is way before Cooper Luckenhouse, I was
Oh
not,
my God, dude.
you
Yeah.
know. And it's in my mom's house somewhere and they asked me like, "Oh, are you going to go to the '04 Olympics?" And I was like, if I ever go to the Olympics, I would rather be a coach
Really?
at like 16 or 17 years old.
Why? That's amazing.
Oh gosh, Mike, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I would get crippling nervous. I wanted to compete, but man, I would listen to like Mike Tyson, and
Yeah.
he would say, but he would tell you walking to the ring, he would just be so terrified.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really feel like that's what I was going through, like as an athlete.
Really?
But I'm too like, you're too proud to tell anybody because you
Sure.
can't work out. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
you gotta face it and whatever it is. And so you go out and you compete and whatever. Um, and I just hated that feeling so much. I hated that feeling, hated not being
Wow.
in control of that feeling, but I love the sport. I love the sport and I
That's,
wanted to be around.
I don't think
And
I knew
so
this, Chris.
yeah, yeah. So like, no, this is the first time I'm really kind of saying that, but that's the God's honest truth.
I,
Like
I mean,
I
I do remember, yeah, I worked with you your freshman year. I do remember there being a little bit of a lack of confidence from
yeah.
you. Not complete, not zero. I do remember the competitive part too. I remember you give me on the 4x4. Let me do, I remember
Yeah,
all
yeah,
those.
yeah.
But
I'm gonna let me do it, but I'm gonna be scared
yeah,
on my way to do it, but
I
I'll do
do.
it for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do remember having conversations with you. It was like, oh, I've got to really pump this guy up. It's actually what I kind of liked because, I've described it this way of the difference for me, my experience, the difference between coaching men and women, with the women that I coached throughout my career, no matter how good they were, they all thought they sucked. I mean, I remember, before I came to Mississippi State, I was at Ball State and I had a 22-foot and 44-foot long jumper, triple jumper. She was winning. We were in the MAC. She was, she'd take one jump and then go run the 100. She
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
making nationals, making finals and stuff. And you would have thought she was a 16-foot long jumper. I mean, she just thought I could never. So I was always pumping her up, and the rest of the girls like, hey, we're good. You're going to be awesome. You're doing this. With most of the guys, some of our teammates at Mississippi State, regardless of if they showed up at practice or not, they thought they were going to win the Olympic golds. And it was always like, yo, bro, you ain't even showing up for practice. Like, how do you think you're going to win Olympics, you know? But I remembered with you, you did not think you were going to win the Olympic gold. Not that you didn't have that comment, but you had some lack of comment. I didn't know it went this far
So
though. Wow.
I, it- I, so I, my high school coach, Terry Davis, love him. Great guy, love him. And I internalized the wrong message. His message, his message to us verbally was Big John is always coming. You don't know who Big John is. You don't know his name. Big John might show up with holes in his shirt and no shoes, but he's coming and he's coming for you. So you had better be working hard. You had better not think you had made it. And that's
Okay.
man, he would drill us about Big John. Big
Yeah.
John's coming, and you better be ready for Big John. He might come from the country because we some city boys. We're in Atlanta. We thinking our stuff don't stink. And those boys in South Georgia, we don't know their name, but they coming. They coming. They don't have a track. They don't. They're
Right.
mad. You have a track. They're mad at you because you got shoes, and you think
Right.
that they just gonna lay down for you. No, Big John is coming. So like, I still feel that, coach. Like I I tell my team now, like, listen, Big John or a
Yeah.
big Josina, they coming.
Yeah.
It don't matter
Yeah.
who it is. So like I, I've I try to instill confidence in the kids,
Mm-hmm.
but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, Big John's like Big John's a real character in my head. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if I correlated Big John and just internalized it
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
incorrectly. And
Yeah.
like I said, in the hindsight being 2020, I definitely believe that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, his
But
message was like, "Hey, if you're number one, well, that the only way to go is down. Like number two's coming for you."
he's
You were
coming.
like, "No, there's somebody literally coming to get me."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
wow. That's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So
That's
that's
a
why I
great
said,
lesson of be careful. We are dealing with kids here. Be careful how you see things as a coach and try to explain them is not necessarily the viewpoint of a 16-year-old kid out there.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that makes
I
sense.
totally think I just misinternalized that.
So you had this lack of confidence on the competition side until you actually got to compete and you were a competitor. And so you thought, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm never going to be able to do in front of 80,000 people for the Olympics, but I might be able to coach it. So
I
that was
can
kind
get
of,
somebody there.
yeah.
I know that I can help somebody do that.
So you're thinking you're going to become a coach, you're competing, you have amazing coaches around you, you have a system for crying out loud Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Were you, because, spoiler alert, you become a track coach. Were you asking questions, not in a, confrontational, like, why are we doing, I'm 16 years old, I know better than you, more of like a curiosity of like, hey coach, so why did we do this on Monday and this on Tuesday? Or why did you race me in the 8 and not the 4? Were you doing that as a 16, 17-year-old kid?
Nah, I was raised by a granddaddy, so like
Hmm. Shut
it
up and
was
do
shut
it.
up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure out the equivalent because football they have this saying, see ball, hit ball. It's like I don't think I just see ball and I hit ball.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of that for track. It's like coach say run, I run.
I run.
Yeah,
He says go, I just
yeah,
start
that's
moving.
probably what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, coach say go, I went.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how fast? So no, I didn't but I soaked everything up. And so again, I don't think that highly of myself athletically because I was always chasing people I grew up with. Like I grew up in a house with a brother I could never catch. I
yeah,
grew
right.
up with cousins that I could never catch. So I never believed that like I was great um at anything. So what I did whenever I have success, I would just be like, oh well, I must be successful because of this work. Well, what work did we do? Okay, that's what we
Mm,
did. I just so like my high school system is I utilize that system
right,
in my practices today. Is it the exact same thing?
right.
No. Am I saying we do the same thing every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday? We don't.
Yeah,
But because I had a system in high school that worked for me, I incorporate that a little bit in my system now. Same
right.
thing in college. Like my college coach, Steve Dudley, he would give us, we would know our workout sheet. We would know our workouts for the whole week starting on
Yeah,
Monday.
that grid and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
we
was
would.
I'm gonna take a little credit. That's all me, by the way.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, listen.
I was sitting there thinking, I was like, wait a minute. So those sheets, because I used to give you month at a time, mesos at a time,
Yeah.
and I remember that was a big deal because I remember I'd go to like clinics and stuff, and people were like, "Oh, wait, don't they skip out on the hard workouts?" Like, well, then they don't want to be here. Like they should.
Yeah. No.
It also it took you guys away from having any excuses. Well, I didn't bring my spikes. Well, hell, you've had this for 3 weeks. This is the third week. What do you mean you don't have your? You know
Yes.
we're doing flies
Yes.
or whatever it was. Yeah, yeah. Now, and I'm not taking away from Steve. You know I love Steve, and he's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
brother to me. So I'm just saying, like, yeah. I had a little bit of goodness in
Yeah.
coaching. I did that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, before we get to college, though, I love that. I love that you actually. So here is a little insight to like, oh yeah, this guy's going to become a coach. You didn't think like, oh, it's all me, my geneticism. That's what's helping me. Like you understood, like, oh, the coaching, like the system, like that's helping me become a better athlete.
Because I never listen, Mike, going into my senior year, I never thought I was getting into college.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, like I thought I
Well,
was going to work at Lithonia Lighting.
because of athletics or academics or a combination.
A combination, but I didn't think I was.
But wait, you're getting recruit. Okay, that's where we're going to next. Is
Yeah.
so tell us about the recruiting process and how you ended up going to Mississippi State. But you were being recruited. Like, what do you mean you didn't think you were going
I
to go to
thought I
college?
was going to work at Lithonia Lighting off of Sigmund Road in Conyers, Georgia.
Really?
That's right hand, yes.
This goes with
Uh,
the lack of confidence here, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was just like it's unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Chris going to do that? No, I'm going to go working like I know that's what I want to do, but I'm likely just going to end up working at Lithonia Lighting and kind of because that's what the majority of my family did.
Right.
Was they just graduated and started working. So I didn't start getting recruited. I didn't believe that I was going to college to run track until December of my senior year.
Okay. Right. That's not
Yeah,
late. I get
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
I didn't
yeah, yeah.
believe it
Wow.
that I was going. I got recruited a little bit by a handful of SEC schools and ACC schools at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I had a really good junior and sophomore summer.
Right.
Um, in hindsight.
Right. Right.
Um, but I didn't win anything, and because I didn't win, again, I'm thinking, well, this, they
Okay.
only want the winners.
That makes sense. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
tracking with you now.
I'm
Okay.
16, 17, so keep in mind I'm stupid. So,
Hey, don't worry. You just grew up to become a 50-year-old stupid. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, so, uh, so yeah, I didn't think I was going to school, and then obviously, Coach Dudley came out and recruited me,
Yeah.
and we came on a visit, and
Yeah.
uh, kind of came on a visit a little bit reluctantly. Just coming from Atlanta, you hear a word, Mississippi, and
Sure. Hey, brother, that was
just
every conversation when I recruited. LZ,
yeah,
all those guys was like
yeah,
Mississippi. You know how many
Mississippi,
parents saw the movie Mississippi Burning? It was like, my
yeah,
kid's not going to
yeah,
Mississippi. And it's like, it was a movie. It's a movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I came down here a little begrudgingly, not
Yeah.
begrudgingly, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. It wasn't
hesitant.
like,
Like,
holy crap, I'm going to Starkville for a
yeah,
visit. It was like, all
yeah.
right, I'll check it out.
Never even heard of Starkville.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Came down here on a weekend in January. There was no basketball game, no football game, no baseball game, and the women's track and field team was out of town.
No.
And I had the time of my life.
What were we thinking? Seriously?
Because look, we came down here, nothing was going on. I watched practice on Saturday. We left practice. We went to Elmore McConnell's apartment,
Elmore,
and
man.
the men's team just had a cookout. And
Yeah.
I felt as safe as I've ever felt in my life, as far as like, just being in a foreign environment, and it was peaceful. That was what
Hmm.
I couldn't articulate or verbalize what it was, but I enjoyed the peace. I didn't know that I would enjoy the peace and appreciate the peace of,
Interesting.
the hustle and bustle, because coming from Atlanta, it's boom, 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 boom. Everybody, you're on
Right.
alert all the time.
Right.
And I was that weekend kind of put me in a position, or at least showed me like, man, it's peaceful, man. I just
Wow.
remember like I think we went out that Saturday night, but again, nothing's going on. So it wasn't like crazy go out. It
Right.
was
Right.
a hang out, really.
Wow.
I just appreciated it. I appreciated the low keyness of it.
Yeah.
Like it was
I,
just really.
I
Really
like
smooth.
I like how you said that you didn't even know that you needed or wanted that as well. And I think that's important. I'm always concerned about how much we talk about the transfer portal today. First of all, because I'm like, dude, we transferred back then too, guys.
Yeah.
We had Kindle because of transfer and for crying out loud, but and others. But I do wonder during the recruiting process. I think that story you just shared there is an important lesson for us to know that we're dealing with 18-year-old kids here. You don't
Yeah.
know what's going to click with them. Like we didn't set that. We didn't know like, oh,
Oh,
Chris needs a
Mike,
low
let me tell you
key.
something. Let me tell you. I don't know if you knew this, but SEC's my freshman year, your last year.
Right.
SEC was at Vanderbilt
That's right.
outdoors.
That's right. Yeah.
We left on a Tuesday,
Okay.
right? We left on a Tuesday. That Monday before, so the day before we left, I went to Dudley's office and was like, "Yeah, I'm transferring."
No, I
Yeah,
wait, did I not know this or did I block this out because it emotionally
uh-huh.
hurt me, Chris?
But
Are you
I was,
serious?
yeah, again, I'm 19, so I'm still a
Sure,
knucklehead. I
sure.
had a girlfriend at the time who went to another university somewhere else. I
I
wanted to go.
remember that.
I wanted to be
Yes.
closer there. And
Okay.
and I think this was my first point of clarity as a young adult. So I tell Dudley, hey, look, man, I hate it here. I'm bored, just making up all these things. And
Yeah.
some of it I did feel,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
it was just, putting a little bit on the stake.
Right, right.
Um, and I want to go, and it wasn't a contentious conversation. He's kind of writing his notes down. He says he puts his pen down, and then he
Yeah.
says,
Yeah.
"Okay, Chris, this is what we'll do. We leave tomorrow to go to SECs. As long as you try your hardest, like you've been training hard all year, you haven't caused any problems. As long as you try your hardest, when we get back on Monday, we'll release you to wherever you want to go."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, okay, all I got to do is try hard, and I'm out of here." So I go to SECs, I mess up, and I make the final. The only freshman to do so.
Right. That's right.
And back then, or still now, we would run the prelims on a Thursday. We would
Hmm.
have a day off on Friday. We would
Right.
run the finals on Saturday.
Right.
Well, that Friday on my off day, our grades came out, right?
Yeah.
So here I am. I just made an SEC final. At that time, I was like top 20 in the world for under
Right.
20.
Right.
And then I got my grades and I'm on an honor roll. I've never been on an honor roll.
Oh man.
At that moment right there, sitting in the embassy suites on a Friday night before the finals of the SEC meet, I made a decision on my own. This was a decision on my own. And I remember making this decision of like, I can't go. I'm doing better than I've ever done in my life. I can't go. I go run the final, score a couple points. I get back on Sunday. Me and Dudley didn't have another conversation about it until he hired me.
Wow. I do remember the girlfriend, so I think I do know
Yeah,
this and I just blocked it out. Yeah,
yeah,
because it
yeah,
didn't go through. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. What I was that's a great example is I think we need to be, and when I say we, the coaches need to be more transparent in ourselves during the recruiting process, even to the detriment of getting a kid
Yeah.
because you don't know what is going to click with that kid. So you might as well be yourself and and if they don't click with that, great. You probably saved yourself and them 4 to 5 years of heartache. And if they do click, awesome. You're probably going to you have a higher percentage maybe of keeping that kid for 4 to 5 years at that point. I just see because we see it in this private sector too when we're interviewing people like, oh, what is Mike when Mike asked that question? What is he really looking for? How should I answer this? I'm like, bro, I just want
Yeah.
you to answer honestly because if it's an answer that resonates with me, cool, we're going to be okay here. And if it doesn't, well, cool, then you lucked out and didn't come to work here, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I thought that was a good example. Okay, for a little bit of time, we're going to move forward here a little bit because we could spend the rest of our time just
Yeah.
talking about our Mississippi State days. And I only had a year with you, man. But I was there for 2 years and just had a. Yeah, I was telling JJ, you remember JJ?
Yeah.
JJ's, JJ beat you out. He was on the podcast back like episode 80, man. I don't know how that worked out, but
I had to get my accolades up, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. The earn, right, right,
I
right.
needed to earn my way up.
Uh, but I'll tell JJ, and I told you, I didn't go to school. Went to the world's best university, Troy University in Alabama. Uh, but I consider myself my time. It was 2 years, but my time at Mississippi State really. imprinted on me. And I've always told people I'm an unofficial Mississippi State alum. I just and it's all because of the people. It ain't because of Stark Vegas. Trust me. And it's not bad. I'm from a college, that's where I live is College Town, USA. But the people that we had there are just
Oh, the community is still awesome.
man.
I mean, I
Jasmine,
can't describe it.
Lauren,
Yeah, I can't describe it, man. The community is
yeah,
like
it's unbelievable.
it
It's unbelievable.
it warms my heart up.
So you go through, so you don't transfer, and I'm glad that you don't transfer. What did you end up getting your degree in, knowing that you want to become a coach? So what did
Yeah.
you choose for a degree?
So again, so you're bouncing around. I came when I first got to Mississippi State. I was like, I'm gonna be an architect. That lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, why? Yeah, I
Two,
do.
two,
That actually is a memory of mine too, for some reason. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
2 weeks.
yeah,
Just ignorant and didn't know. Then with psychology,
yeah,
and then I went home after my sophomore year. Went home for the summer and was talking to Dr. Marco Belazar. You know him? He's from Atlanta. He's anyway. Was chatting with him, spent some time with him, and he's like a physio. And I was like, man, I want to be a chiropractor. So I
yeah.
came back, changed my major to kinesiology because that was going to be the quickest and smoothest pathway to life college at the time. So I could go to
Hmm.
chiropractic
Yeah,
school.
life. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
All
And
right. So
chiropractor school. Yeah.
I had a plan.
Hmm.
I embarrassingly have to say that I couldn't get through physics. So,
It just
so
wasn't sticking, huh?
I don't even want to. It was my physics experience was so bad that I remember the grades that I got in that class, and I will not. That is one thing that I will not divulge on your podcast. I will not embarrass myself that way. And
What'd you pivot to?
so, so, all right. So anyway, I at this point I'm in a junior year. I can't switch major, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna
Right.
finish up in kinesiology and figure it out. So I finished up in kines. This is 2008, so
Hmm.
the job market is
Hmm.
non-existent at the time, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, wait,
A little
right,
bit of
yeah.
personal training, and then
Hmm.
I started teaching. I got my alternative teacher certification. Was teaching and coaching on a high school level back in Metro Atlanta,
Hmm.
and I get this random phone call in August of 2009, and it's Al Schmidt, and he says, "Hey, you want to coach?" I said, "Hell yeah, man." This lady named Sylvia Camp's gonna call you. Hangs up the phone because Al doesn't say bye.
No,
Like that
I had to
was
get used to that. I was like, dude, it's just like TV. He does not say bye. Because it always aggravates me in TV when they just hang up. I'm like, you don't say bye? What do you mean you don't say
no,
bye? Yeah, yeah.
no.
Yeah, Al
And,
just, yep, we're done. Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
sure enough, Sylvia Camp called
Yep.
me. She was the head cross country coach at Georgia State University.
Hmm. That's right.
Uh, Called me, went and interviewed over there. Uh, and for whatever reason, she saw fit to hire me. Still don't know what that reason is, but Sylvia, if you're out there listening, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, And that's where I got started. I got started at Georgia State University as the assistant cross country track and field coach.
So typically, when we get into coaching for the first time, we typically coach how we were coached because we don't know anything else.
Right.
And then as we go through coaching education, peer to peer conversations, things like that, we adjust and find our own style and things like that. How did you? So at Georgia State, did you say, okay, well, in high school, because in college, that wasn't all that different. Now that I think of it, at least freshman year, because I wrote most of the workouts at that time.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. You were in the 800-meter group. I wrote maybe 40% of your workouts.
Yeah.
Dudley did the rest of those. For the short sprinters, I did most of that writing of the workouts. And we would typically, you would have said, if you'd have looked at a block 4 weeks of our time, you would have said we do the same workouts every day too. So like the first, I'm famous. Well, that's a terrible. I'm not famous, but in my world, I was famous for everywhere I ever went to school, coached at. The first month, we would always do stadiums on the last day, Friday or Saturday, depending on what school was. And we would, I'm just making up numbers, 4 by 400 stairs. That's a terrible makeup, but
For sure.
you'll get there. The next Friday we would do 5 by 400, and the next Friday we would do
Yeah.
6 by 400, and then on the last, the fourth week, we'd go back down to four. We do the exact same workout because I wanted you A, to see how much you've improved, and B, I wanted you to see like, oh wow, this coach is pretty good because I just did that workout and it killed me 3 weeks ago when I did it. Now I'm awesome, right? So you would
Right.
have said, oh wow, it was the same workout. What did you do your first foray into coaching? Were you a right the same, because that's what you're kind of used to, or willy-nilly, or what did you do? How did you start out coaching?
So when I first got to Georgia State, I wasn't programming. I was a gopher, so I was recruiting a lot.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yep. Hmm.
I was holding stopwatches.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was just doing what I was told to do as the assistant coach and was
Hmm.
happy to do so.
Hmm.
I didn't start getting into the X's and O's of coaching until I got to Abilene Christian University.
Hmm.
And that's when I was the cross country coach and the distance coach, and I was kind of forced to do some programming.
Okay.
And and I'm coaching cross country kids, an area that I am personally unfamiliar with.
Did you not run
Uh,
cross country at all?
did not run cross country in high school.
Is that right? Okay.
So
And
uh,
did we do a little bit of cross with you at Mississippi State?
not a lick,
Okay, I thought at least for that freshman year, I was like, I thought I had you on the track for because Steve
not a
would
lick.
was coaching distance runners then, and
Yeah,
so I had like that the Elmore, but I thought we'd maybe run you at the home meet or something.
not
Not
a
at all.
lick.
Okay,
I
all
would
right.
have been kicking and screaming. That was the deal. The deal was I
No
wasn't
cross.
going to cross.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the deal.
Okay, all right. That makes sense.
So
Because we had guys like
uh,
Scribner and I'm
yeah,
trying to feel distance. Yeah, we had a solid little. I mean,
Pat,
yeah,
yeah, we had a few, but
yeah.
so at Abilene, that's when I started.
So from
That's when I
Georgia,
started
Southern or State, I always get it mixed up, and I know everybody.
Georgia State
You're at
in
Georgia State,
Atlanta.
and then you go
Yeah,
to Abilene Christian. How did you get
yeah.
out to Abilene?
I got fired from Georgia State. Uh,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know the game, man. So I got hired by Sylvia in August.
Right.
Well, Sylvia left that November to go to the association,
Yeah, I remember Sylvia very well. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then now I'm the interim head cross country coach at 23
I would say
years old.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
want the job. I
Yeah,
didn't even
sure.
want it. Like I am begging them,
Yeah,
please
you're
find
smart enough
somebody
to
else.
know I'm not ready for this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so then they hired Chris England in like March
Okay.
of 10, and then he fired me in May, right after the outdoor season.
Got it.
And that was my introduction to like professional life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
how
it
do
was
you that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing that up. One of the most profound moments I've had on the podcast, and close to 400 has been a lot. But do you remember Karen Dennis, former head coach of the Ohio State
I
University?
got I've had a few conversations with
Well,
Coach Dennis.
I love her. I mean, one of the most sweetest people I've met. And we had her on the podcast, and she was coaching at UNLV, and she goes to Ohio State. And I asked what I thought was a pretty softball question. I was like, "So, why'd you leave UNLV to go to Ohio State?" Duh, it's Ohio State, Mike,
Yeah,
right? She's
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
Michigan, so it's closer to home. Blah blah blah. And she goes, "Well, I was fired." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh crap!" Because now that you're on the show, there is no there. You get to tell the story how you would. She did not have to say it. You did not have to say
Uh-uh.
I was fired. You
I've been
guys tell the
fired
story.
twice. I've been
If we'll,
fired twice.
we'll get there. Don't worry. There's always a third time, Chris. But I asked her, I said, "Hey, why did you didn't have to say that. Like you could have spun it a different way." And she goes, "You know what? I think it's important for young people in our profession to know that sometimes
Yeah,
you're going to get fired,
yeah.
possibly, and that it's not the end of the world."
It'll be okay.
What did you think as a 22-year-old who's trying to get into this coaching thing? You're in
Yeah.
this coaching thing, and then through no fault of your own, it's not like you recruiting violate.
He wanted somebody he
Yeah,
knew.
yeah, we
And,
hear that a
and,
lot. We hear that a
and
lot.
that's
How does that
ooh,
feel?
man. So I you feel so you're 22, 23, you feel absolutely helpless
Mm,
because your life changed simply because somebody made a decision.
mm-hmm.
You didn't do anything wrong. It's
Right.
just this person made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to cope with that and deal with that. And that
Did you feel like maybe this isn't what I want to do? Maybe I need to get into a different profession?
I'm a competitor. So then it turned into,
Ah,
oh, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna. So
got it.
I
Yep, yep.
appreciate England in that
Yeah,
regard. I
yeah.
really do. I really do. But it was like, oh. So, but it took me a little time to get there. It wasn't like the next day. The next day, I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, this was my dream. This was my dream, and it just got snatched from me.
Right.
So it took several weeks for me to kind of cope with it and deal with it. But then it was just like, I'm not the only one. Oh, there's a bunch of jobs that's open. Oh, so then
Mm,
that's how I started to learn the coaching carousel game and
hmm.
network and all of that stuff. Um, but that was a tough blow because I'm also working at Georgia State University. I'm 2 minutes away from my house. So
Right.
so even personally it was tough, but professionally it definitely like I oof,
So I'm gonna say struggle. That's probably not the greatest word to go to Starkville. How did you go to Abilene? You had to keep going past Starkville to get to Abilene, brother.
Abilene was a that was it was where it wasn't bad. Like Abilene is a much bigger town than
Hmm.
Starkville, so I could deal with that. It was just I've never been that far away from my family.
Yeah.
Um, Culturally, West Texas is a different place
Hmm.
than what we traditionally call the South.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
you get what I'm saying? Now, love my time out there. I met my wife out there. We had our oldest son out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
What,
so
Wes was gone at this point, right? He was,
Wes was gone. So
yeah.
my head coach was Roosevelt Lofton.
Oh, yeah. I
Uh,
know Roosevelt
yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Roosevelt hired me.
That's right.
Uh, and then so I worked out there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then got fired out there.
Dude.
This story, I got fired because my now wife was my fiance. We were
Mhm.
pregnant and they fired me because she was pregnant.
No.
Right hand to God, I love telling this story. I
Chris,
love
that's illegal, I think.
no, it was a private Christian university, so they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Oh, because you weren't married?
Bam.
Oh, holy. I do not know this story. Are you
Yeah, 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 yeah.
kidding me? I mean,
Uh, yes, you're not.
I
I mean,
also get it. Yeah,
I get
yeah.
it,
Right. But
I
also
get
like,
it. It's like
dude.
I get it, but
Wow.
so yeah, but honestly, my all things ends up being a blessing, and here's why. So I'll speed track this a little bit for you. So work at Abilene Christian for a couple of years. While I'm out there, we win two Division II national championships, in one indoor, one outdoor.
Nice.
Pretty like side note, we won an indoor national championship with four guys. That was pretty cool.
Nice. That was always our goal in Mississippi State.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's tough, but
So
you can do it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we won an indoor national championship with four guys. The first person I called when I got on the bus was Steve Dudley.
Oh,
So anyway, so work out there at Abilene for 2 years. Get let go because the pregnancy, having my kid, or whatever. Land at this place called Claflin University.
Claflin. I kept thinking Chapman.
No,
Claflin, South
yeah, yeah.
Carolina.
Landed, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Hmm.
Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Yep.
Also Division II.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm the head coach, so I'm running the show.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm programming everything. And I
Yeah.
think that 1 year is what prepared me from a coaching X's and O's standpoint
Hmm.
for what I'm doing now.
Hmm.
Long story short, worked there for a year, didn't get
Hmm.
fired.
All right.
Dudley called and he had a position opened up, so he wanted me to come and take that position, which I did, obviously. And in the transition of Dudley leaving and them
Hmm.
needing to find an interim, what happened was I was the only one on staff at that time who had head coaching experience.
Uh,
And I would not have gotten that head coaching experience
yes.
had I not got fired at Abilene Christian.
Oh,
Pause right
wow.
there. Pause right there. Pause right there. I would not have met my wife, nor we even had our first kid had I not got fired at Georgia State. So that's my testimony to
Right.
those who
Oh,
that's my testimony because
I
it
love
is
that.
rough. It is rough coach. It was rough. It was rough at Georgia State. It was rough at Abilene, especially when you're internalizing, like, it's not my fault. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't cheat. I didn't break any rules.
Right.
We won a national championship. So, like,
Right. Yeah.
you're
Right.
performing well. And so just, having to cope with the things
Yeah.
that are out of your control. But my testimony is,
That's so
had
good.
had it not happened at Georgia State, I don't meet my wife, don't have my kid. And if it don't happen at Abilene, I don't get the head coaching experience. If I
Right.
don't get the head coaching experience, I'm not where I'm at right now. So
I
that's
lo-
my
I love that. That goes to what I talk about with regret, where, sometimes people ask you is, do you ever regret anything? Would you ever change anything? And I'm always like, no, even my mistakes and the bad things that have happened. That's because I am who I am today. Because
yeah,
we like to think sometimes like, oh, like using your example, if I wasn't fired at Georgia State, boy, I could have been the head coach of blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you also could be out of coaching, by the way. Like we don't think like the opposite could be true. But I love your attitude of the bless. Like, hey man, thank God that happened at Georgia State because I met my wife and child now because of that, and thank God that happened at Evelyn Christian because that helps with Claflin, and now I'm getting this seat.
yeah,
That's first of all, bravo to you, super healthy. That's looking back at your story, your journey, and even in the bad times, seeing the good that came out of
yeah,
it. Like I
yeah,
that
for
that's
sure.
healthy, bro. I mean, you have mature because in my head you're still 18-year-olds, by the way. You're a mature 18-year-old.
The beard isn't giving it away.
Yeah, exactly. I told you about that. Okay, quick question about when you got to Mississippi State, and then we'll jump to your head coaching there at Mississippi State. I'm always curious how when an athlete for a coach comes and then becomes on their staff, like Dudley
Yeah,
and Steve Dudley. And Steve, if you're listening, I love you. We don't talk enough actually, and that's my fault. But I love Steve to death. I'm at Mississippi State because of Steve. Full stop. And that's
yeah,
not to take away anything from Big Daddy Al. I love him, of course. I love that whole staff. That's part of I'll get off my emotional
yeah,
soapbox here.
yeah,
Uh, but so Steve was Coach Dudley to you when
yeah,
you were athlete and in prescribing workouts and hard work. I mean, this is a guy who famously is on film doing a quarter in practice in his work boots just because. And he would run himself to death if he had to do anything. That's the kind of person Steve is, man. He's intense. And then you join staff. So now Coach Dudley is Steve Dudley, and you are no longer athlete Chris Woods. You are assistant coach Chris Woods.
yeah.
How did you manage? We look up to our coaches for a lot of good reasons. How do you go from that's my coach to we're co? I know he was he's the head coach, so there's still some levels there. But now that you're on the same team, the coaching staff moving forward, how do you deal with that as an athlete transitioning to coach on the staff?
For me, it really wasn't that difficult. I don't think it was because I knew the personality. I knew what I was going to get. Like, because
Hmm.
you can say what you want to say about Steve Dudley. You can call him intense. You can call him tough. You can call him whatever. You can call him a bunch of different adjectives. He's consistent.
Yeah, he is
He
who
was
he is.
always he was always going to be that.
Hmm.
And so I knew that from the time that I being a student athlete. Um, I'm not a military guy, but I appreciate um, the military system of just like rankings,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
time that I was an athlete, he was my superior. So
Hmm.
you do. Now, if something doesn't make sense, you ask questions, like don't
Hmm.
do anything, don't, go jump off a cliff blindly.
Right.
But that was my superior, so I followed those
Yeah.
orders. As an assistant coach, I did the same thing.
Do you think it helped that you had because so you basically had one, two, three, four, five, 6-ish years in between graduating and coming back to state?
Graduated in '04, so about 5 years. I
5
graduated in
years.
'08,
Do you
came back
think
in '13.
do you think that time that helped a little bit? Because now
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
you're having conversations with Steve now in a much different manner than when you were as an athlete during those 5-6 years.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and then like just to have worked with different head coaches,
Mm,
uh, because Steve Dudley was in my head the only coach I worked with in college.
hmm.
Uh, so
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
now, be around Sylvia Camp, be around Eric Campbell, to be
Yeah.
around Lavelle Lofton and
Hmm.
some of these other Orrin Richburg and some of these other
Hmm.
coaches that
Hmm.
I was meeting throughout and around the country, and going to conventions as a young coach, I was starting to slowly develop my own ideologies. Some differed from Coach Dudley,
Right,
but
right.
it was still ultimately his program, so I did what he said.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one thing I appreciated about Dudley is he gave me autonomy as a
Hmm.
young coach,
Yeah.
uh, just to I could recruit whoever I wanted to recruit. They just needed to meet a certain standard and certain criteria. So he gave me autonomy in certain places to grow. And I
Uh-huh.
don't know if he did that intentionally or if it was whatever, but that's something I certainly
I,
appreciated.
I would echo that in the sense of, I would say Steve had some controlling aspect, which we all do. This is not a knock on him,
Sure, sure.
but I would 100% agree. I was this, kid, nobody coach coming from Ball State to Mississippi State. And there were things in the sprint program that I was like, hey, Steve, I really think we should be doing this, 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 and this. And there was no fight. It was like, oh, okay, let's try it. And
Yeah.
hey, we need to do in the way. I remember this was actually a big, like, I don't know what the term would be. Uh, Years go past. I'm at Gill, and he calls me up one day when he was still at Mississippi State, and he goes, Mike, I wasn't a big weight room guy when you were here, and you always kept pushing us in the weight room. And I think I should have done better. I should have done. And I was like, holy crap! Like, I mean, because Steve Dudley has coached the. I mean, go look at his accolades, boys and girls. So for him to say that to me, of like, first of all, he trusted when I was there that he'd do it, and then to look back, go, you know what, Mike, you were on the right track. I should have done more. That just for me is it helped me kind of like, oh, maybe I knew a little bit about what I was doing. It was a big confidence booster. Not that I would ever get back into coaching. All right, what year? So I agree. He was very trusting. If he trusted you, he trusted you. That's
Trusted you.
probably the
Yeah.
best way. All right, what year did you become the head coach there at State?
So I was the interim head coach during the 18-19 season.
All right.
And then I became the head coach in the end of July or sometime in July 2019. So I
Okay,
did
so
a full
20 was
year.
the first head coach, the
Yeah, the 1920
full
season.
time or whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I love asking this, and I typically ask this of a guest during their first time being a head coach, but you did have some experience at Claflin, but I'm going to count because nothing against Claflin, nothing against any other institution, and I have
Sure.
told you guys and gals that listen 100 times, I am an unapologetic SEC homer. So being the head coach of an SEC school is always going to be different than any other school out there. When you get, and this is a transition coming from interim to take away that interim tag, what did you think when you got to the head chair? What did you think was going to be hard? Like maybe you didn't have experience with, and so you thought this
Yeah.
might be a little tough for me. I'm going to have to learn and ask for a lot of help, and ended up being actually a little bit easier than you thought. Because as a head coach, a lot of hats, fundraising. You're
Uh,
probably on committees to hire other coaches, alumni, home meets, recruiting, scholarship allocation, hiring and evaluating coach. There's a billion hats. When you went into it, what were you thinking? Like, I'm a little green here. This might be a little tough, and actually it was okay.
wasn't that bad?
Mhm.
Delegation.
Hmm. So you thought you might struggle there a little bit, and then
Thought I
when you
might.
got there,
Well, when I was forced to delegate,
mm,
it wasn't as tough to get things off of my plate
what do
as
you
what
mean you were forced to delegate?
there was a point where somebody on my staff had to sit me down and straight up,
Mm.
you're trying to do too much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so but that's why you hire people you trust,
Uh-huh.
you know.
That
But
they
yeah,
felt that they
oh,
were
they knew.
safe to tell you that, first of
Yeah, yeah.
all.
Yeah. And they had been several other places, had worked
Uh-huh.
with several other successful head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were able to say, listen, Woods, you trying to do too much. You got this person that does it, this person, you need to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's something you got to put your pride aside, I think, and then like take a step back, look at things objectively, and uh, and then make sound decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was going to be difficult because it's your first time. If something's going to be messed up, then I might as well be the one to mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to fail, if I'm going to be an unsuccessful head coach, I'm going to be an unsuccessful head coach.
Right. Right.
But then I quickly learned that if I'm going to be a successful head coach, I cannot do it by myself.
Mm.
And so like that was something that I thought was going to be really difficult.
How did
Uh,
you because a lot of that is control. And so you give up some, I'm gonna call it responsibilities to
Sure.
someone else. How do you handle knowing that they may do it a little bit differently than you were thinking about doing? Probably they're human, so they're probably going to make a mistake. How do
Really.
you work on allowing that to happen? You're still the head coach, so you're guiding them, you're mentor them,
Yeah.
and not just overreact and grab it right back and say, "Yep, I knew I screwed up. I should have never given that to you. I should have kept that."
Um, I've I've done that and not proud to have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then had to like turn around and be like, you know what? Let me, and ask for grace. You know what I mean? Um, so I just uh, a young man by the name of Bracky Brett would say,
Oh,
keep the
Bracky.
main thing the main thing. And as elementary as that sounds, that's what I try to do. So,
Yeah.
hey, I don't have office hours, but this is my expectation. You
Mm-hmm.
reach my expectations, whether you do it in your office, you can do it sitting on your toilet. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it done. And I need it done by this time. So if I clearly lay out my expectations, this is what I need, and this is what I need.
Mm.
My expectation, I don't think about it again until until it's, hey, do you have that thing that I told you I needed?
Right.
And I just trust them to get it done. If they don't get it done, whatever that is, then you got to look at it two ways. Did they not get it done because they didn't have the resources to get it done? That falls on my shoulders.
Mm.
Or did they not get it done because they didn't get it done? That falls on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the next thing that we have to dissect. If it falls on my shoulders, I accept the responsibility, ask for grace, and give them grace.
Mm.
If it falls on their shoulders, I give them grace, but then that task, that responsibility, or whatever, it may alter in the future. But it would be it would not be smart of me to put my people in a position to be unsuccessful, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then,
Right.
uh,
Yeah, it's a great point.
so I try to lead with grace, give people the autonomy because nobody, I don't know much about your all of the professions and all of the trades and skills that you have, but like I don't know you to be an HVAC guy,
Right.
right? So if an HVAC guy came over to your house, you're not gonna stand over his shoulder until he finishes the job. You're gonna let him in, let him do his thing. When
That's
he
right.
leaves, you're gonna check on it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're satisfied, you say thank you. If you're
Yeah.
unsatisfied, you're gonna say, hey, come back and fix it.
Yep.
It's the same way. Or at least
Bingo.
that's how I try to
Yeah,
operate.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
What an important word grace is, by the way. I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, so the inverse question:
Yeah.
what when you became the head coach? There are some things that you thought were going to be easy, like, oh man, I know I've never done scheduling, but yeah, it's going to be easy. And then you got in the seat, and it's like, oh, all right, I might need some help on this, and whether it's from administrator, coaches, etc. What might that have been for you?
I say this not as a complaint, so I'm not complaining. The single hardest thing to do is to manage adult people.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the single
Mm-hmm.
hardest thing to
Mm-hmm.
do. And not that's not a complaint. It's, hey, listen, when you're in a management position, you're a head coach, or you run a business, or you run a company, everybody's problem is and you care about your people.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
You care about your people and their livelihood, not just how much money they get paid, but like their actual quality of
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
Um, you're not necessarily managing those things, but their problems are a little bit your problem too.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that's something that I grossly underestimated
Hmm.
uh, as an assistant coach. That's something I grossly underestimated early in my career as a head coach of just how difficult it is. And when I say how challenging it is
Yeah, yeah,
to manage adult people, it's not
yeah,
difficult in the sense of it's a negative. It's just you deal with a lot of problems,
yeah.
because they're going to come to you with their problems. And I'm a person that like, how can I help
Right,
with whatever problem? And then, but you can't go and tell everybody or go ask anybody else to help you help
right,
with their problem because it's a private matter. So I would
right.
say managing adult people,
I, I
single-handed hardest thing to do.
appreciate that authenticity because one of the things, my role in this coaching world now is to be an advocate for coaches, to be a cheerleader for coaches. And one of the things that I've never heard of a university or high school, doesn't matter, I've never heard them actually teach new head coaches or new to the school, even head coaches, is about staff management.
Yeah.
It is the one thing. It's like, oh, hey, you're the new head coach of XYZ University. Cool, go hire people now. It's like, well, what do you mean go hire people? I mean, I know how I was hired. It's
Yeah.
probably a lot
Yeah.
like coaching. We're like, okay, well, this is how I was hired, so I go do it. And you realize like, oh, there's way more to it, by the way. And by the way, now you get them there, their staff evaluations, like they're every year we get to make a decision if we continue on together or not. What happens when the coach tells me they're going to go somewhere else? Crap, now what do I got to do real quick to
Yeah.
fill that in
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah.
There is no, I've yet to, like I said, I've yet to see a university that says, hey, part of your onboarding is we're going to talk to you about best practices for interviewing, even how to interview, for crying out loud, interviewing, how to interview, who to interview, why you might not want your best friend on staff, why you might want your best friend on
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much to it. And we just are, with our coaches, we're just like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I appreciate that. That's a real concern.
Yeah, and again, I'm not complaining. So when my
Yeah.
people say this, I want y'all to know that I love
Yeah. Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But that's and I'll tell them this too, like y'all, man, like, and I try to be very transparent in the role that I'm in because like I want all of these assistant coaches that I have that are desirous of being head
hmm
coaches to go on to be
hmm
coaches. So yeah, I try to be pretty transparent when those kind of questions are asked.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Hey, Chris, let's spend the last few minutes we have here today picking your brain a little bit because what's interesting about you is, you're a head coach of an SEC program that also competed as an athlete in SEC. So you have experience of what the SEC was like from 2005 to 2010-ish, and now as the head coach. What's changed? Your eyes got a little big right when I said that. Like everything, Mike, everything has changed. What's changed from like maybe the viewpoint of the athlete, meaning what you got and did and were expected as an athlete. What's today's athlete? How much does it compare, contrast, same, different? Talk to us a little bit how the SEC's changed.
Well, I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind is just like the amount of money and resources that
Mm,
we have now
hmm
versus when I was in school.
hmm
Um, I mean, it's just it is night and day as far as comparison, and not just like in the athletic spaces. Like we have an entire when I was at Mississippi State as a student athlete, when you was here as a coach, our study hall area was the basement of a dorm room.
hmm hmm
Now we have an independent, standalone, huge academic building with three different computer labs and
hmm
25 different single room study hall areas, huge open study hall areas that has a full-blown cafeteria in it just for student athletes. So
hmm
that was illegal back when I was in school to have a
hmm
cafeteria strictly for student athletes. So I just
Right.
think some of the resources that athletes, not just here at Mississippi State, but just throughout the country,
Right.
some of the resources that we're able to afford some of our student athletes have certainly changed.
Mhm.
And I think that has shown itself in the results. I mean, dude, we got kids running. Listen, I was at a regular season track meet a couple years ago, and five women ran up under 50 point in the same regular season track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like trackflation
Yeah, yeah.
is
How does
a
that,
real thing.
I tell people when I was in the SEC, it was before even A&M and Missouri came into
Yeah.
the conference, and it was I mean, I used to say it wasn't all that fun. Like we literally, like we would kind of like, I don't want to diss the conference by making this sound too flippantly, but we were like, let's get through SECs because we're going to national. That was our
Yep.
goal. Like
Yep.
there was several times we didn't even run the 4x4 at SECs because it
Yep.
was like, all right, look, then we ain't gonna improve our stat. We're good. We'll see you next week at regionals or whatever. Um, and then A&M and Missouri join. That sucks. And then I remember talking to one of my friends on the Texas staff when Texas and Oklahoma were going to join, and I was like, dude, it wasn't all that fun when I was there pre A&M Missouri, and now you're going to add Texas and Oklahoma. As a freshman, I mean, it's rare that a freshman makes it to the finals of the 800, for an example, and there was a lot of pressure for you to do that. Now with four more additional, just add four more additional really good teams, and then you talk about trackflation.
Yeah.
Like it's, I imagine maybe you do this. Like, would your time, let's say as a freshman,
I
uh,
would not have recruited Chris Woods.
oh, shut up. I wouldn't even go in there. I was talking about, would you make finals?
Oh, Chris Woods would not have been at Mississippi State. Chris Woods, the 2004 version,
Really?
wouldn't even have called that kid.
Because of more than just what I described with those new teams, though, too, because of roster limits and things like that, or purely
It's
off of what it
that's
takes
just
to
that's
the
just
SEC.
how fast. That's how dominant this conference is.
Yeah.
Like 1 through 25 of any given event can go to most other. This is no diss to other
Yeah. Yeah.
conference,
Right. Right.
but I mean, we have a freshman girl that ran 52.3. I don't think she's in the top 25 in the league right now.
Top 25. Oh, I thought you were going to say not make finals. Top 25.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean I
Wow.
I mean 147 is in the stands on finals day. If 22 a young lady can run 22.9 and will not make a final. That will happen this year. You'll have a few girls run 22.9 and not make a final.
Dude.
And it is what it is. I mean, it's just a track meet, and but that same girl could 100% be a national championship finalist.
Right. Right. That's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
46 flat did not make a final at the conference last year.
So, how do you, one of my self-imposed roles is to help increase communication, mainly between our high school and college coaches and vice versa. And so
Sure.
I see, I'm in a very good box now. I'm not in the college coaching box. I'm not in the high school coaching box. I'm pro coach box. And so I see at times on social media, because that's where we talk, by the way. I hate when people say, social media. It's like, well, hell, how else am I going to talk to people?
Yeah.
I can't email back and forth to everybody, right? Can't pick up the phone. That college coaches, and mainly you and your brothers and sisters in the Power Four, get this knock. You don't want to recruit high school kids anymore. You don't want to develop kids anymore. You just told me Chris Woods of '04 wouldn't even be recruited to Mississippi State. How do you like I'm going to overstate this a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that you represent all of the coaches in the Power Four, but for your perspective, what's your pushback to, you don't want
Sure.
to recruit any more high schoolers, Chris? You don't even want to develop, you want ready-made kids out of the transfer portal. That's what synopsis of
No,
what I hear. And I don't believe that's true.
well, listen, we've been in this kind of debate 5, 6 years now that
Hmm.
I've been
Hmm.
kind of hearing those kind of whispers, and to some degree, totally understand the high school and club coach's position on that.
Hmm.
Um, because I am a coach that I strongly believe in development,
Hmm.
especially where I'm at. You have to develop
Hmm.
kids, right? So if there's a pushback, here's the pushback. It is we need to make sure that we're doing a better job of educating our high school kids on the marks that's required
Hmm.
to get to the places that they want to get to,
Hmm.
right? Because here's the deal. Yes, the argument can be made that we don't want to develop high school kids anymore. Well, we gotta sign somebody. We gotta have somebody on the team so we're able to
Right.
find the people that we are looking for,
Right.
right?
Right.
Whether they and listen, I know that there's some age discrepancies and we can get into that, but
Yeah.
that's kind
Yeah.
of like minutia a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just talking traditional recruitment of high
Hmm.
school kids.
Hmm.
I think kids have to understand from a young age, if you're a freshman or sophomore and you have a vision or you have a goal to be a Division 1 or Power 4 athlete, do some research. Go see what the average is to score.
Hmm.
I know. I use the example of a young lady running 22.9 not making the finals. I know that there's not that many girls in high school that can run 22.9,
Right. Right. Right.
right? Or
Right.
that's not running 22.9.
Right.
However, 24-5 is a long way away,
Mm,
a long way away. So I'm not saying that I don't want to develop a 23-6, 23-5 young lady because
mm,
now I have more of a chance to get that young lady
hmm.
under 22 seconds. So I just think we have to educate ourselves on what it takes to score in whatever conference it is that you are interested in. Do a 4-year average. Do that early, do that young, so that way you have tangible goals as you progress throughout high school.
Is that what you're looking at? Is that your barometer? Is what it takes to score in the SEC? Not,
Yeah,
I'm not saying like, hey, if a kid doesn't score, I don't even look
yeah,
at them. I'm saying like that's your kind of your North Star, if you will.
yeah. I mean, because everybody, well, I don't want to say everybody. Mississippi State, we're gearing towards national championship, right? Like we want to win a national championship. Well, we're fortunate enough to be in a league that is, if you're competitive in this league, if you're scoring points in this league, you have a high likelihood to be competitive nationally,
Right.
right? So we start at the conference level because again, if you're
Hmm.
competitive, you will be eventually competitive at the national level. But again, there's not that many high schoolers that can come
Right.
in be
Right.
immediately competitive in this league.
Right.
Us as college coaches, we know that. So so I think there's a little bit of a disconnect
That makes
of
sense.
what we think is developmental
Hmm.
versus what some high school and club coaches think is developmental. I think there's a disconnect because I
Absolutely.
I think a 23-7 young lady in this example, in our situation, that would be a developmental young
I,
lady.
I agree. I say that because with everybody, and while there is a couple of high school kids running sub 10 in the 100 right now, which is ridiculous, but even the 10-20 kid, which is still elite, by the way. I know we got some sub 10 kids out there, but 10-20 is still elite in the high school level. A 10-20 kid, no matter where they go, is going to have to be developed to make the finals of the NCAA. The 10-20 is not making the finals of the NCAA. To go from 10-20 to 10 flat, that's development. And I think we sometimes get stuck that, oh, 11-5 to 10-7, that's development. And it's like, well, yes, it is. But don't dismiss that 10-20 to 10-10 and 10-10 to 10 is also very hard
Yeah,
in development. So
it's
what about, and
really
this will be my second to last question, Chris. I know you got to
okay.
get going here. So how do you every team, by the way, even the teams that win nationals, every team has a not so deep event group for many
Right.
reasons. They don't put scholarship money. That's usually the main reason. Put scholarship money in it, et cetera, et cetera. How do you talk about when a high school coach or high school kid comes to you and says, "Oh, hey, I'm faster than your I
Whatever,
don't,
whatever.
yeah, yeah." And you're like, bro, it's because I have zero scholarships. I don't focus on that event. Or how do you handle that part where they're like, man, my kid's faster than the three kids they have on roster and they won't even talk to them.
Yeah, I'm if I'm presented with the opportunity to explain,
Mhm. Oh,
um,
that's a good.
yeah, if given the
Mm,
opportunity to explain, I have no problem with like I get emails from men's distance runners every day,
hmm.
and I will respond to all of those emails
Good.
saying we don't sponsor men's cross country here. Therefore, I don't think we would be a good track and field fit for you.
Right.
And so like if I'm given the opportunity to explain, I'll explain it. And I think most once I explain it to people, they may be bummed out because they may be looking at Mississippi State for academic reasons and this isn't working out for them. So that may
Right.
bump them out, but I haven't had anybody come back and say that's ridiculous. You guys ought to,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I,
know.
I,
So I
I
just
was,
think if we're given the opportunity to explain our position, I think people would better understand
yeah.
where we're coming from on our end of like we're trying to be competitive and what we consider developmental may not be what some club and high
Yeah.
school is considered developmental. Um, because I would imagine if I'm in high school or I'm a high school coach and I have a kid that is a 3-time state champion, I'm thinking this kid's elite, you know. Especially I don't want to
Yeah.
call out state names,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you could be a city, you can be a state champion,
Right.
still very much be a developmental
Yeah.
athlete, and
Yeah.
we would welcome the opportunity to develop you. But you have to meet our standards because
Right.
like we have a destination we're trying to get to, and it's
Yeah.
the closer you are to that destination,
Yeah.
the more likelihood we are to get you there.
I like the example of the men's distance runner because you don't have men's cross country there. And it's, I always think about it kind of like dating. It's like, look, man, if Coach Woods tells you, hey, thanks, but no thanks, you're not going to change Chris's
There's no,
mind. You're not going to send 1,000 emails and he's going to go, you know what? All right. What I'm saying? Like, here's the good news. There are a ton of other great programs,
yeah,
great coaches
yeah,
where you would fit in perfectly. Go find them.
yeah.
It's like dating. Quit stalking the girl that says no. She said no. Move
She said,
on. There are others out there for crying out loud.
yeah.
Chris, as you look towards the future, my friend, and you get to define that, whether it's this season, 10 seasons from now, what's got you excited about Mississippi State track and field?
We still recruit a lot of high school kids. We're not in the portal as heavy as some other people. We got a really good class. Last year I brought in 35 kids, 27 of them
Wow.
freshmen.
Holy.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the future. I mean, the state of collegiate athletics, there's no shot that all 27 of those kids stay in Mississippi State all 4 years and
Sure.
leave. But the nucleus of that group, I'm really, really excited about. I'm even more excited about this 26 class that we've signed. So I think the future for us is really bright here at Mississippi State. We just got to keep our kids healthy, make sure our culture stays in the right place. And I believe that we'll be able to match or do even better than what we've been able to do these last few years. We've been able to be in the top 25 each year of the last since 21 or 22. We haven't missed one yet. So,
Wow.
uh, knock on wood. So I'm just really excited about continuing that trend. And Yeah, just continuing to further the sport. That's something that I'm trying to, I have a passion to expand the sport. I think the
Hmm.
sport can have a lot of change and revolution. And I'm excited for the future of the sport as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully, get some changes, some positive changes
Yeah.
in the sport because it's a great sport, Mike. I think and and, and I think we got to start defining the sport for what it is. I think collegiate track and field, team track and field is very different than professional track and field,
Hmm.
and I want to spearhead a way that we can change it, make it more exciting for fans. So I'm excited for the future of the sport as well. I
Yeah.
hate to
Yeah.
ramble.
Well, we could spend an hour just on that alone, my friend. So
Yeah,
way to give us a little teaser and then break out on us.
yeah,
Chris, the most valuable thing you can ever give me is your time, man. I know you're busy. It's tracks. I'm always amazed when you guys give me time during track season itself. And I know you're running out to a meeting here. Thank you, brother, man. This is a great trip
bro.
down memory
No,
lane. I
Mike, man, I
am
appreciate it, man.
so proud of you, dude. I mean, I know I got to work with you for a limited time, but I want all of our kids to be successful, and you have certainly gone on and do it. And I love that you're at your alma mater. I know I've told you this. I have a special place in my heart for alums who coach at their alma mater. When you call and recruit a kid, it's so much more authentic. You're
Yeah,
like, man, you know how good it is. I went to school here. That's how much I believe in this my program. I'm here. I went to school here. So just absolutely love that and bless continued success with you and your staff. You got a great staff there. And 27 freshmen. Well, now I understand the gray in the
yeah,
beard. That makes
yeah,
so much
yeah.
more sense. Guys and gals, thank you so much for being here. This was a lot of fun. I hopefully I did the right thing and didn't make this a memory trip because we were together for a year and had an absolute blast. I hope all of those guys and gals that were on the team are listening right now. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I know Chris does as well, and you are what made Mississippi State special, and that's the biggest compliment I can give you. So love you guys. Thank you all for being here. Join us next week. We'll do it all over again. See you guys.